In this video, I'm going to be making an R&B beat without drums in the style of Cherry 22. The first song on that EP that just came out doesn't have any drums on it apart from an 808 at some points in the song, so I'm going to try and make a beat emulating that feeling. I've downloaded an acapella from one of the other songs on the project called Wasteland. It's at 138 BPM, but I've just slowed it down a little bit, and I'm going to try and construct a beat around it. So I've just come up with a chord progression. It's taken a little minute to get it done, but this is what the chord progression sounds like. Right, so that's the basis for the song. I'm gonna mute the vocals for now. I think what I want to do is pitch up the piano maybe an octave. So I made the piano sound a little bit more realistic by changing the velocities around and, you know, changing the start times and that kind of thing. I've also processed it, so now the piano sounds like this. So because there's going to be no drums or very little drums, I'm going to build the intensity throughout the song with lots of different layers. So I think what I want to do is start adding the different instrumental layers, and then I'll start to add basses or different types of basses, and then maybe some minimal drums towards the end. For spacey R&B sounds, I typically like to jump into Analog Lab. Particularly for this type of sound, I would go to my Astral Bank. Probably my favorite sound in here is the Bryson pad. It's the sound that I've come back to the most. And I want to keep on layering sounds just so we can build it into different progressions throughout the song. I also like this Home Sweet Home sound. It's got a similar feeling to the other pad. I think that could be cool. It just needs some more high end from a distorted layer, maybe for later on in the track when it needs some more kind of presence. So I think all it really needs now is a bass and probably a layer to add some movement. Yeah, it's been a while since I used this bank, but I do remember using the Mercenary bass a lot. Yep. Instead of going for an arc for this one, I've just gone for a pluck key and arpeggiated it. The pluck sound is just called Easier. It's from Loop 03. So I think that's going to be all of the melodic elements. In terms of sort of minimal drum sounds, I think I'm going to add an 808 pluck instead of a snare, and then maybe add an 808 bass for part of it, and then maybe add like a filtered percussion for some of it as well. I don't know. I'll try it out. I do think it's good though to build out as much of the song as you can in one kind of 8 or 16 bar loop, just so you get an idea of how everything fits in context of each other. If you wanted then to add additional flourishes or additional ear candy layers once you've structured it out, then great. But as much as you can do at the start, the better, because then it sounds more cohesive. So I'm just adding this Heartbreak snare. This is from the Futurism drum kit that me and Cryptic dropped. And then I'm just going to add a lot of reverb. I'm just going to add an 808 for part of it as well. The Matriarch 808 is my favorite one from this kit. I'm just going to add this in certain sections to give it a bit more presence. Swap it out for the bass. So the 808 in context sounds like this now. So the good thing about having a vocal acapella involved here is that I can now figure out a structure around it. To do that, I'm going to literally just split by channel. So I'm going to copy this first, clone it and then split my channel just so I've got the original for reference. So I've just got the first 8 bars for the intro, and then I've got this progression of 16 bars for all the other ones. So I think for the intro, all I want is the piano, and then I think maybe the pluck, but I might bring the pluck in a little bit more filtered at the beginning, and then I'll have the pluck and the piano for the second part and start to bring in maybe one of the pads. And then I think I'll bring in maybe the bass and the second pad. And then for this part, maybe bring in the vocal pad just to start to add even more layers to it. And then I think I'm going to take out the bass and start to bring in the 808, take out the pluck maybe, and that's how this biggest part of the song sounds. And bring it in just for the second half of this. And then for this part, I maybe build it up even more just by adding back in the pluck, and then maybe adding in a filtered out percussion loop. So I'm just going to add one from Myelin Cryptic's kit. I think what I'm going to do is use this and then half time it basically. Yeah, I like how that sounds. So with the snare and the pluck. Yeah, so I like how that sounds. What I want to do for the second half, just because the vocal changes up a little bit into more of like an atmospheric one, I think we're going to take the kind of pace out of the track, maybe bring the bass back in for this part, and that can be the end of the song. So let's take everything with movement out of it, so the arps, the plucks, the drums, all of that, and maybe just have this as the final part. I think I want to take out the organ as well, just because it has a bit too much intensity, so then those layers sound like this. And with the vocals. Yeah, and I like how that ends. So you can see there's clear build up, there's progression throughout the track. I hope that was helpful. If you did learn something, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the next video down in the comments.